Okay. Continuing making leap years. 1, 2, 3. 8 lines from the bottom. Yud Aleph on the base. More laws about why and when we make a year. We add a month to a year.
Take the drag.
Okay. Most Haliga direction in all of Portland. I'm not going to point any fingers. Okay. I'm kidding. So, Tanur Rabbanan says the Brisa, 8 lines from the bottom, 11b. Ein ma'abernas hashana ela biyom. You can only make it a leap year. You can only establish a leap year in the daytime. V'imi bruhu balayla, and if you do it at nighttime, ein mubaris. It's not going to be a leap year. The ein mekachas a chodesh. You want to sanctify the month, and you want to make either today Rosh Chodesh witnesses came. You investigated them, interrogated them, and it's going to be the first day of Rosh Chodesh. You have to say the words Makudash. When can you do that? Only by the daytime. Im kitru balayla. If you do it by nighttime, ein Makudash. It will not be sanctified at nighttime. Both a leap year and a leap month and added date to the month. Sorry, and making Rosh Chodesh, has to be done in the daytime. How do we know this? What's the pasuk that teaches us that it has to be done in the daytime? Now, I don't know if we're going to answer both questions. We're asking my time. It's only going to answer, I think. Okay, let's see. Famous drasha. It says, Tiku b'chodesh shofar. You should blow the shofar. When should you blow the shofar? In the month, B'kesel Yom Chagenu. What does B'kesel mean? Says the Gemara, Ezu Chag, which Yantif, which holiday is in a month, She'achodesh Miskasabo, is in a month where the moon is hidden. Now we know that at the end of every month, right before the next month, the moon disappears for a period of time and then reappears. So which holiday falls out at the beginning of the month? Rosh Hashanah, the first day of Tishrei. So that's the month you should blow the shofar. Havi Omer Zer Rosh Hashanah. Okay, that's one. Uksiv ki chokli shalhu mishpalelu Yaakov. And juxtapose to that pasuk. The next pasuk is it's going to be a chokli shalhu mishpalelu Yaakov. Just like mishpat judgment is done in the daytime, av kiddush hachodesh, so too the sanctifying of the month is also done in the daytime.
How do you know mishpat's done in the day?
That we know from other places. Now we're going to see Lamed Aleph Beis. Rashi says, it says Bayom Hinchilu as Banov. On inheritances, I guess it says Lamed Aleph Beis. We'll see. So it's interesting. We didn't answer the first question, only the second question. The first question about making a leap year only in the daytime, that we didn't answer. That you make it at nighttime, it's not going to be good. So you have to know what is the source of that. The same as this doesn't sound like it. So I don't know. That remains unanswered. Okay. Okay, last line. Tanur about an ein ma'abernas hashana. So another halacha that go on to the next page. You cannot make a leap year, b'shani ra'avon, when it is a time of fasting, meaning a time of famine. Sorry, not fasting, famine. If it's very famine and the food is scarce, you cannot make that year a leap year. Why? Because you're going to. We know there's a prohibition to eat from new grain until you bring the korban omer. So it's called Yashan and Chadash. You can ask Rabbi Dovid more about Yashan and Chadash. So people nowadays are still strict about it to keep Yashan. So in a year of famine, we don't want to extend that prohibition any longer than possible because people have very little food. So therefore, you should not extend it in a year of famine. Okay, so now we're going to bring a pasuk, a story from Tanakh that would seem to imply otherwise. So Ish Bal Shalisha. A man came from the town of Shalisha, and he brought to the man of God, which was Elisha Hanavi, lechem bikurim. He brought him ripened bread, esrim, lechem seorim, the carmel, the tziklono. He brought him this bread made out of barley, and the carmel. Carmel is the what do you call it? The carmel is the
First crop.
Yeah, in its stock, I think. So
It says 20 loaves.
20 loaves of barley bread. So now he's bringing it now. Now says the Gemara, there's no place which is easier. The food ripens easier then this town called Baal Shalisha. So if you want to make aliyah, find this town, yeah. If you're going to be a farmer. So mi Baal Shalisha. Biafal pikein loy bichra element, and even that year only one crop grew. So maybe you'll say Shematomar Chitim. You'll say, oh, wheat. Wheat is great. So Tamalomar Sorim. Sorim is always a lower level of food than wheat. We know Sorim is animal food. Chitim is male food. Shematomar Lifnei HaOmer. So maybe you'll say, what's the problem? It grew at the right time. It grew before the Omer. And therefore, when you bring the Omer, you can now eat it. Talmud Lomar Tein Am Veyochelu. No, they're going to give it to the people. Veyochelu. They're going to give it now and eat it. The fact that you're allowed to eat it must be that it grew and was ready to go after you brought the korban omer. So, so now, that year was a great year to have a leap year. For whatever reasons, we make leap years. Why do we not do it? Because it was a year of famine. Everyone was running to the threshing floor, meaning there was so little food that we're not going to extend the prohibition of Chadash any longer. Even though it should have been a leap year, we still are not going to make it a leap year. I don't remember now if we're going to see it later or not, but sounds like according to some Rishonim, the reason of making Pesach always fall out in Aviv, Chodesh Aviv, when the produce is ripe. I don't know if you have that conflict, this would still win out. I mean, I don't know if you need Pesach to be in its right time, and it's a year of famine. I don't know if it's talking about every situation, or it's only talking about most situations. But maybe when Pesach, I don't remember right now. But just interesting to know, when do we never make it in a year of famine, ever, or in most cases? But if you really need to, because of Pesach being in the right time, that's a biblical law. This would seem like it's only a rabbinic enactment. So, Tana Rabbanan, Ein Ma'aber Hashanah Lefnei Rosh Hashanah. So you cannot. When can you sit down and make it into a leap year? Not before Rosh Hashanah. Why? Rashi says because people are not going to know about it. They're going to forget about it by the time Pesach comes. What's going to happen in the month that's really Adar Sheni? They're going to think it's Nisan, so they're going to celebrate Pesach and Adar Sheni, and then when the real Nisan comes, they're going to be eating chametz on Pesach. It's too much time beforehand that they're not going to know about it. Then ibruha, and even if you do it before Rosh Hashanah, ain't mubaris. We don't allow it. So even if you did it, it doesn't matter. It'll never be considered a good leap year because we have too much at stake. So meaning even if the rabbis did enact it, they can cancel their own enactment. So aval mipnei hadchak, but however, if you really need to, if you're really stuck, and we'll see why certain pressures. What's Rashi saying? Sorry. Yeah, maybe you're not going to have a bezdin, not going to have time to do it, or you won't have the bezdin around other time, or maybe Rashi says the Edomi king is going to come and prevent them from making it a leap year. Whatever reasons, if you're in a dire situation, you can do it when Ma'aber Nosa Acher Rosh Hashanah Miyad. The second Rosh Hashanah is over, then you're allowed to do it. So it's interesting. I mean, the day before Rosh Hashanah, it's absolutely prohibited. Nothing going. And if you really need to, right after Rosh Hashanah, you are allowed to. The Afal Pikain, and this is what we know, Ein Ma'abrin Ela Adar. You're only Ma'aber Adar. The only month that gets a leap year is Adar Sheni. There are different reasons why. Why Adar Sheni?
I heard that technically the leap month is Adar Aleph. You're adding one, but
It's a big machlokas. Yeah, you have a bar mitzvah, you have a yard site. Which month do you keep it in? So some say one, some say two, some say both. Yeah. I had the shadow last year. I don't remember now.
two boys, one's born on the 10th, one's on the
Yeah.
20th, like that.
Father went through a Bosner. I don't remember. I have to look. But yeah, it's I think the Ramah implies one way, but so we hold like the Chasam Sofer that different way. I don't remember right now. But yeah, that's so it's only other. But I saw 3-4 reasons why other. Why not a different month? I'm linking on the reasons now, but I don't remember.
I thought the point is if it's Adar, you can do it at the last minute. It's supposed to be like Shvat, you already passed it or something.
Oh, that's one reason. Yeah, good. That's one reason is that it's the latest possible time when you see that the crop is not yet ripe and you need to make the crop ripe. So Pesach can be Chodesh Aviv. Right, right. Yeah, they bring other reasons. Okay, my head's not working. Okay, fine. Ba'afal begin aim harbin ela other. So only other. Yeah, okay. Ini, is that really true? Only other Vahashachule, the Rava Zug, they sent Rava, the Rabbanim sent Rava a Zug, a pair of rabbis, Bami Rakas. They came from the city called Rakas. Vitafsu Nesher, literally means like an eagle grabbed them. It doesn't mean eagle here. It means the Persians. The Persians, Rashi says, the Farsim, their army grabbed them. Ubiyadam Dvarim Hanasim Beluz. They had things in their hand that were made in luz. What's made in luz? Umayin yu techelas. Apparently techelas was made in luz, and they were holding techelas. So now, it doesn't tell us what happened in the middle, but it says bischus harachamim, in the merit of Hashem's rachamim, ubischusam, and then it sounds like in their merit also, yatsu b'shalom. Okay, they left peacefully, and they weren't killed. Va'amusi yirechi. Amusi Yerechi Nachshon, the head, the Nasi in Israel, who was from the tribe of Nachshon ben Aminadav, who, as we know, the head Nasi of, I think, Yehuda. So, Bikshu Lekvoa Nitziv Echad, he went to establish Nitziv Echad. Now, Nitziv here means a month. The Gemara is going to ask how you know that Nitziv means a month. So, or a famous commentator lived 250 years ago. No, but so they say he wanted to establish an extra month. Velo Hinichan Adomi.
It's a representative, modern Hebrew.
Here means a month. You'll see soon. Yeah, here means a month. Bikshu Lekvo Nitziv Echad. He requested to add a month to the year. Velo Hinichan Adomi, and the Edomi king, he did not. The Edomi ruler, the Roman ruler, did not let him. Velo Hinichan Adomi Halaz. This Edomi ruler did not let him. Aval Bale Asufos. Bale Asufos are the ones that gather together. It's referring to the Talmidei Chachamim. They're called the Bali Asuf because they gather up in groups and discuss Torah together. Bali Asufos ne'esfu, they gather together. V'kavulo nitziv echad b'yerech shemeis bo Aaron HaKohen. They made an extra month on the month that Aaron HaKohen dies, which is?
Av.
Oh, very good. On the month of Av. That's when Aaron died, and therefore they made that month. It sounds like they made two Avs. So I don't know if that means you do Tisha B'Av twice. Probably not.
That's strange.
Yeah, it is very strange. What'd you say?
I would prefer to.
And you want two Purims. The people whose cups always at half empty. Well,
There's got to be a reason they say it was the month of Aaron and not just say Av, if that's the case.
so it's interesting. It hit me this morning that the Gemara in Tainus has one opinion there that you would celebrate. It says, just like Adar comes, you're happy, so to Av comes and you're sad, right? So it sounds like the whole month. We were bothered by Mr. Warshaw and myself. After Tisha B'Av, the 10th of Av, why is the rest of the month sad? At least by Adar it says the month is going to be transformed into happiness.
And it's not true. We have Tu B'Av, which is.
Oh, that was my Chavrus's question. We have Tu B'Av. That was this question. Very good. So I saw this Gemara. I said, I don't know. Maybe there's a reason. Aaron HaKohen died. It's a whole month of Avelis for Aaron HaKohen. I don't know. But it's a strange thing of Avelis. Okay, I don't know. Either way. So he wanted to establish a month, an extra month in the month that Aaron died in Av. So now, what do you see? It's not just Adar. Sounds like you can make two Avs, not just Adar. Says the Gemara, no. You're allowed to sit down and discuss and calculate when you're going to make 2 months, but to reveal it, to let it know, and to establish it. Sorry. 1 second. Yeah, sorry. It says here that they sat down to establish the new months before Rosh Hashanah time. It was an Av. That the Gemara says no. Chashuvei mechasha you could do. You could sit down and calculate when you're going to make a leap year, but you can't let people know about it until after Rosh Hashanah. You have to let them know about it after Rosh Hashanah. But
So it was during Av they talked about making the next year.
Yeah.
But they didn't. So it's not 2 Av.
Yeah. Right. It means not 2 Av. Sorry. It means that they went and they established the new month, the added month, which is going to be Adar, but they established that in the month of Av. On that, the Gemara said, but you can't do it before Rosh Hashanah. On that, the Gemara answered, you could, you just can't let it known to the people, because once again, we don't want them to have so much time between when you tell them and when it's going to be Adar Sheni, so they shouldn't have comments on Pesach. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah. So now, My mash with the hay nitziv, this word nitziv, which means officer, how do you know that word means month? My mash with the hay nitziv, listen to yarchahu. How do you know that it means actually it means a month? The chsiv Shlomo shneim asar nitzivim. Shlomo had 12 officers. I'll call Yisrael. They kilkul as a melech, and they were in charge of making sure that the king has what he needs. Ves anashav chodesh v'shana. And they would be in charge of the people 1 month a year. The Haksiv, another pasuk says, "V'netziv echad asher ba'aretz." Oh, there's only one ruler, not 12 officers, only one officer. So Rav Yehuda v'Rav Nachman, echad amar echad munal kulam. One said each one is appointed for the whole Jewish people. V'chad amar keneged chodesh ha'ibur, and the other one said that he's appointed keneged chodesh ha'ibur. Meaning, one is appointed. I guess one is appointed for 1 month in the year, and one is appointed for all the months of the year. And the way that the Navi says that is v'nitziv echad asher shneim asar nitzivim al kol Yisrael.
I mean, each one represents a month, and they have a council that they kind of decide.
Yeah, so it's interesting. You don't see the word nitziv here still means officer, but you see that it's used. It sounds like it's used in reference to collecting food for everybody. So
12 officers in charge of taxes, and they're admitted to proceed to a single officer appointed over them. This officer brought provisions for the king's household with that proceeds. And then there was the 13th officer also served for a darshan.
So you see that the word officer is used in relation to months, and therefore, usually my Mashma always tells you that the word itself means something else. Here, it's the word itself stays the same. It means officer, but since it's used, that 13th officer is used, as in charge of that 13th month, the Gemara could use that language to refer to the added month, to refer to Adar Sheni. Okay. You're not allowed to make a leap year. You can't do from 1 year to the next. So you can't, if you know that the next year needs to be a leap year, you can't do it now. You have to wait till that year. That's one. And two is you can't do 3 consecutive years. You can't do 3 consecutive years. Why? So Rashi says because then Nisan's going to fall out the year after that in the middle of the summer.
But 2 you can?
Sounds like 2 you can. Yeah.
Wow.
Sounds like 2 you can.
We don't.
Yeah, 2 back to others. So essentially nowadays we have a set calendar from Hillel Zakin, so I don't know, things are probably different. But okay. So now Rabbi Shimon, Ma'aseh Rabbi Akiva. There was a story with Rabbi Akiva that happened. Shayachabush b'beis Asurim. Rabbi Akiva was stuck in jail. So the Iber Shalosh Shanim Zu Achar Zu. What did he do in prison? You figure out how to calculate leap years, obviously. So he calculated 3 years back to back years. So you see that you could do it. Rabbi Akiva did it in prison. Amar Lo Misham Raya. You can't bring a proof from there. Bezdin Yashvu v'Kavu Achas Vizmana. So Rashi explains that it means they didn't do 3 consecutive years. It's just Bezdin came. Sounds like they allowed visitors to jail. They came and they sat with him and they looked into 3 years, 3 different years, if there needed to be leap years or not, but not 3 consecutive years. And therefore, he realized that year 1, year 4, and year 7 are all going to have to be leap years.
You can project it out.
He calculated.
Yeah. So Rashi says he was a chacham gadol haya ubaki be'ivra hashana.
There's a guy in our show who proved the 7 leap years you have every 19-year cycle. It's exact same as the black keys and the white keys on a piano. And he showed a chart. Anyway.
Mr. Sussman?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So another reason to go visit Silver Spring, to meet this man.
Yeah. He works for NASA or something.
So Thunder Rabban, another brisa. Ein ma'abrenes hashana. You cannot make a leap year. Lo b'shvius. During Shemitah, you can't do that because we can't work the land for the whole 7th year. So we don't want to extend that. So you can't work it for a 13th month. So you don't do it then. The lo b'motzai shvius, and you don't do it on the 8th year because the old produce really from the 6th year has has expired and you need new produce. So you don't want to extend the time. You don't want to extend the time to extend the prohibition of chadash. You want people to be able to eat sooner, so you don't want to extend it to 8th year either. Yeah. So Ema Sairagil Ma'aber. So when was a good time to make it a leap year? Erev Shvius. They would do it. Erev Shvius. Erev Shvius was a good time to do it because you added a month to work the land. If the 6th year you now have 13 months, you can work the land more in preparation for your 7th year. Now, Shal Beis Rabbi Gamliel Hayu Ma'abrim B'Motzi Shvius. Rabbi Gamliel's house, they would do it in his court, they would do it on Motzi Shvius. They would add a month on Motzi Shvius. So Upluk, that sounds like to Machlokas, 2 opinions. Upluk the Hani Tanai, and this is actually Machlokas of the following 2 opinions. The Tanya in Mavi and Yerek, very interesting. So they made a gzeira, they made a decree, rabbinical decree that you can't bring in a certain lump of dirt from outside Eretz Yisrael, because if it's the requisite shear, the requisite amount, it might have a bone of a non-Jew in it, and then you're going to bring tumah it's only tumah derabanan. You're going to bring tumah into Israel, and you're going to make things impure. Therefore, they didn't allow you to bring. So it says here, maybe in Yerek you can't bring a vegetable michutz la'aretz, but really it's not a vegetable. It's that they were worried about it coming, these clumps of dirt that are coming with potential bone inside. So one opinion held maybe in Yerek michutz la'aretz, Rabbi Seinu hitiru, and the Rabbi Seinu allowed it. They allowed you to bring it in. So now, the reason why you would extend Motzi Shvius and not be worried about it is because you could always get vegetables from outside of Israel. So that was Rabbi Gamliel's opinion. If you didn't allow it, it's because you did not allow any vegetables to be brought from outside of Israel, and therefore they're going to have less food to eat, and therefore we don't extend it by 1 more year. My beinayu, everywhere, most places always means what's the practical difference. Here it means what's the root of their argument. Interesting way to say that. But my beinayu, Rabbi Yirmiyah choshen legushein ike beinayu. They were choshesh. They're worried about legushein. A gush is a clump of dirt. That's where they argue. Are we worried about a clump of dirt containing a bone of a non-Jew, or not? So yeah. Okay. Tanur Rabbanon ein ma'abrin es hashana mipnei tumah. Rabbi Yehuda Omer ma'abrin. So now we don't ma'abr es hashana mipnei tumah. This is getting into a long discussion now. So what does mipnei tumah? So let's say it's before Pesach, and people are tameh, and you want them to bring the korban Pesach in a state of purity and not in a state of impurity. So yeah. Yeah, so let's say most people are tameh at the end of Adar, and that's one. And the Rashi says that there's no more afar of the paraduma. Let's say you ran out of red heifer's ashes to sprinkle on them to purify them, and right now you can't find the red heifer. So we still do not ma'aber it. We don't make it a leap year because of these reasons. Rabbi Yehuda says you do. Because of this reason, you do add a year.
The point is we want people to be tahor for Pesach.
Well, maybe 2 opinions. Yeah, we want people to be tahor for Pesach.
The other says we don't worry about that.
Yeah, we don't. We add a month.
You could bring the korban Pesach even until
Pesach Sheni. Let's see. Rabbi Yehuda. So before we get back to Rabbi Yehuda, he's going to contradict himself, and we're going to get back to it later. Hopefully we have time. So Rabbi Yehuda, Ma'aseh b'Chizkiah. So Chizkiah was a great king. His father Achaz was a terrible king. His father made everyone do avodah zarah, and according to Rashi, the tumah that we're talking about here is a tumah from avodah zarah, which is also only rabbinic, which is going to come out very interesting. But yeah, so there's a rabbinic tumah that was on the people that happened in Chizkiah's father's lifetime, and Chizkiah he had a massive tshuva movement. He brought everyone back to do good. So now,
with a rabbinical tumah, like if someone's tameh rabbinically, they would be prohibited from bringing that.
So that's what's interesting. I think they argue on Rashi, but according to Rashi, the whole ensuing conversation is going to be all about a rabbinic tumah, and that makes a big factor over here. So let's see. So so now, he had to make the year a leap year. Why? Because people were tameh, and there wasn't enough time to purify everybody before that Pesach. And then Chizkiah felt bad about this. He felt he did some aveira. He felt he did a certain avera, and he requested mercy for himself. So it sounds like because he because of Tumah, he did make a leap year. And we just said, at least according to the rabbis, Ein ma'abrin es Hashanah b'pnei Tumah. So now, the pasuk says in Divrei Yamim ki marbas rabbas me'Ephraim u'Menashe Yisachar Zvulun lo hitaru. They weren't pure ki ochlu es Pesach. Below kasuv ki yispal Yechezkel aleim lemor Hashem atov yechaper ba'ad. The verse says it sounds like they weren't all going to be pure, and then Yechezkel asks Hashem to atone for his sin. So now let's see more about this. Turning the page. So now,
He says if people are tamei, it must be his fault,
he did an avera.
and therefore
No, they're not telling because of his fault. They're telling because of his father's fault for making them do avodah zarah. It's their own fault. They're telling they did avodah zarah. He did a massive tshuva movement. Everyone's coming back now. Here comes the first Pesach. Everyone's still impure, and they're not pure yet. He goes ahead and makes it a leap year that they have more time to purify themselves. For that added leap year, he asks Hashem to atone for his sin.
I got it.
Rabbi Shimon Omer. Now, Rabbi Shimon says, "Im mipnei hatuma ibrua mu'beres." If you do it because of Tumah, if you add a month to the year because of Tumah, it's going to be a good leap year. That year will be a leap year. Ella mipnei mas. Therefore, what was he so worried about? Mipnei ma bikesh rachmim al atzmo. Why did he mevakesh rachmim? Why did he request mercy for himself? She'ein ma'avrim ella other. According to Rabbi Shimon, it means we only make other a leap year. We only add a month when it's other. V'hu iber Nisan b'Nisan. He added a Nisan to Nisan. That's Rabbi Shimon's opinion. Rabbi Shimon Yehuda Omer Mishum Rabbi Shimon. No, a different opinion. It wasn't because he added Nisan and Nisan. It was because Mipnei Shehisi Es Yisrael Lasos Pesach Sheni. We're going to tear apart this whole brayso in a second. But he advised the Jews to do a Pesach Sheni, and that he felt was improper.
Was he added a second Nisan, or in Nisan he added a second Adar?
Rashi says, La'achar shekitru l'shem Nisan. Yeah, very good. After they were Mekadesh Nisan, he then went back and made it a second Adar. Right, he didn't have two Nisans. After they already established Nisan to be Nisan, then he made it into Adar.
The majority is impure.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna see. Very good. Yeah. So Amar Mar. Now let's go to the rest of the Amar as we going through this brayso. So Amar Mar, Rabbi Yehuda Omer Ma'avirin. So Ma'avrin. Sorry. According to Rabbi Yehuda, he says Ma'avrin that you could. His statement was, he argued on the rabbis, you could, because of Tumah, add a month. So now, here comes a very important and famous principle. Alma Isla Rabbi Yehuda, Tumah dechuya hi b'tzibur. So now, we often are going to have conflicts in halacha what to do. So, you have a halacha that you have to bring the korban in a pure state. And now, what happens, you have a lot of people that are impure. So now, there's two ways you can look at this. Machlokas in many places. Do you say, so we allow you to bring the korbanos. How do you view it? You view it as a fight. Rashi, every time it says the Chuya, always says the same thing. Bekoshi hitiru chachamim. Famous cases on Shabbos. Someone has a life and death situation. So it's mutter to break Shabbos. How do you break it? You do the minimal possible and avoid it at all costs? Or you say, in a place where, let's say on Shabbos, a person has his life at stake, they never prohibited anything. And it's hutra. You don't have to worry about it. Woman goes to the hospital. What could she do? Anything she wants, whatever she needs. Because there's no prohibition in place of what she needs. So same here. If they're all tamei, we allow you to bring the korban. How do you view that? When we're tamei, there's no prohibition at all. Whatever. When rogue people are tamei, we'll see. There's no prohibition at all. Or no, it's always going to be a fight. It's always going to be bekoshi through. It's with difficulty that they allow you to bring korbanos with tumah. What's the difference? If you can go out of your way to avoid it, do you have to do it or not? According to Rabbi Yehuda, Tumah dechuya hi b'tzibur, meaning we can add a month to the year. If you add a month to the year, then you don't have to get involved in this conflict. People will be pure. Are you obligated to do that? Or do you say, no, Tumah hutra hi b'tzibur, if right now Pesach comes and people are tamei, then there was no prohibition of bringing things. We waived it. There's nothing wrong with it. So you're never fighting against anything. It's mutter. So go for it. According to Rabbi Yehuda, he holds that since it's always going to be a fight, Tumah dechuya means to push. It's always pushing against the prohibition. It's always pushing against it. If I can avoid the fight, let's avoid it. How can I avoid it? Add a month to the year and get people to be more pure. Since Rabbi Yehuda holds you should add a month, says the Gemara, he must hold Alma Islay Tumah dechuya hi b'tzibur. He must hold that Tumah is dechuya hi b'tzibur. Now, we're going to ask on this from another area. We know that Sometimes Kohanim are impure and they bring korbanos. Sometimes the korbanos are impure. We have a special way to purify yourself from that. It's called the tzitz. It's called the, nowadays in basketball they wear those headbands. So it was like the head of tzitz on the Kohen Gadol. It says Kodesh LaHashem. So now, says the Gemara B'Hatanya, really, Toma Dechuya Hi Betzibur, how can it be? Tzitz, this tzitz that was worn, so Bein Sheyeshno Al Mitzcho, Ubein She'eno Al Mitzcho Maratza, Divrei Rabbi Shimon. Whether it was on the Kohen Gadol's forehead or not, it's still atoned for any korbanos that were brought impure. It's still atoned, even when it was not on the Kohen Gadol's head. It sounds like even the Kohen Gadol himself. Rashi says Kohen Gadol b'shas tuma, at a time of tuma. I don't know if that means that he probably wasn't him because we tried to avoid him getting tuma. At a time where there is tuma, so his tzitz would be maratza. It would appease. It would appease for that avera. It would atone for that avera. Rabbi Yehuda Omer no. Odo al mitzcho maratza, and ein odo al mitzcho ein maratza. It only would atone if it was on his forehead. If he was wearing it. If he's not wearing it, then it would not atone for that. So now, Amar le Rabbi Shimon Kohen Gadol b'Yom Kippurim yochiach. You should bring a proof from the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur. What should be the proof? She'eno al mitzcho. He's not allowed to bring gold into the Kodesh HaKodashim. He only wore 4 out of his 8 garments because we don't want to bring gold, because gold reminds you of the Chet Egel. And when you're asking for to defend the Jewish people, you don't want to awaken the prosecuting angel to bring up the Chet Egel. So you don't do that. So now, Umaratza, and yet look on Yom Kippur, he wasn't wearing it, and it was still maratza.
How does he know?
That's what he holds. He probably has a drasha. 1 second. So now what? So since it's maratza, even when he didn't go into kosher kedashim, he went in to atone for the Jewish people, and even though he wasn't wearing it, it sounds like it was still maratza. Right, so how does that show you that tuma hutra b'tzibur? Because all we see from here that it atoned even when he wasn't wearing it. But how does it show you that it was tuma hutra b'tzibur? It sounds like they were still allowed to bring korbanos. Yeah, I got tripped up this morning also.
Who says someone was tamei on Yom Kippur? It would have to be a case that it was a tamei.
In the event that there was tuma. I got tripped up this morning by the same thing. From here, you see the fact that a Kohen Gadol can do avoda in the Beis Hamikdash. You see from here that tuma hutri b'tzibur. Why? So says that the tzitz is not needed on Yom Kippur to make tamei sacrifices acceptable.
The Russian says v'im ira tuma. If it would be
right,
it would be maratza.
So 1 second.
It doesn't say it actually ever happened.
So on Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol enters the Holy of Holies twice to perform the inner services. Fine. Before doing so, however, he removes his gold investments, including the tzitz. Okay. So, thus, the tzitz, which makes tamei sacrifices acceptable, was not worn for 2 periods every Yom Kippur. So now, I guess the tzitz, not only that's why I got tripped up. The tzitz is maratza. What it means is it really atones if it was impure. But I guess it also means that as long as it's on, you can also bring a sacrifice. If it's not on, so then who said you can bring a sacrifice? Because in the event that it's impure right now, it's not going to purify it. And yet we see that we don't care about being on. It sounds like if you brought it when it's impure, it'll atone for the avera. But the point is that even when he wasn't wearing it, those two times on Yom Kippur, we still allow you to bring a korban, which means that even if the korban was potentially impure, we didn't stop you from bringing it.
I was saying here that it's because footnote saying it was communal.
Oh, that's coming up right now. So you see from there that on Yom Kippur, the fact that Kohen Gadol is not wearing the tzitz, the problem was that the tzitz says maratza. Maratza means after you did an avera, it atones for the fact that it was impure. But apparently, if he's not wearing it, so then it sounds like we're allowing impure sacrifices to be brought on Yom Kippur. You can't do that. How could it be? Must be Tuma Hutra B'tzibur. It must be that that we just allow impure sacrifice to be brought, and we don't make him always be wearing his tzitz. To that, Rabbi Yehuda says, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, no, Hanach liyom kippurim, leave Yom Kippurim out of it. Why? Shetuma hutra b'tzibur. Yom Kippurim is very different. All the sacrifices on Yom Kippur are all communal. Since they're all communal sacrifices, there we say by a communal sacrifice, then Tuma is hutra b'tzibur, and you don't need the tzitz to appease for it. You only need the tzitz to appease, it sounds like, for private offerings, not for communal offerings. So therefore, the fact that he was or was not wearing a tzitz doesn't matter. Meaning the Kohen Gadol went in himself and did the avodas Yom Kippurim. Sounds like even if he was had some impurity on him, he could still do it. Must show you that even if he was impure, he can go in without the tzitz, because Tuma Hutra Hi B'tzibur. Tuma is just totally permitted it's permitted. On that we say no. All the offerings are viewed as all communal offerings, and therefore the tzitz is not going to help you, and therefore we say Tuma Hutra Hi B'tzibur. Okay, so a little unclear. I apologize. According to that reasoning, Tikshilach Hi Gufa. You have to ask on Rabbi Yehuda himself. Rabbi Yehuda himself, Omer Ma'abrin. He says you add a month because Tuma is Dechui Hi B'tzibur. You're always fighting with the impurity. That's why he adds a month, because he wants everyone to be pure. The V'amar Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda himself says, Ma'aseh b'chizkei melech Yehuda she'ibras Hashanah. He added a month of the year b'pnei Tuma, because of Tuma. B'kei shachim al atzmo. And it sounds like because he added a month, he requested atonement for himself. So it's Rabbi Yehuda against Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda implies that the reason why he requested atonement was because he added a month. Rabbi Yehuda himself says you're allowed to add a month. So how do you reconcile the two Rabbi Yehudas? It's the same person. Sounds like a contradiction. Says the Gemara, read it like this. You do not add a month to the year because of Tumah, meaning even people are Tameh, so they can bring their Korban Pesach even in a state of Tumah. However, if you do it and you add a month, mi'ubaris. First opinion. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Eino mi'ubaris. If you do add a month to the year, it's not going to be a leap year. It doesn't work. You can never add it because of Tumah. V'amar Rabbi Yehuda, that the whole story with Chizkiah. Since Rabbi Yehuda says that even if you add it, it's not going to be good. For that, Chizkiah asked the Tumah for himself because he added a month. And that Rabbi Yehuda says you cannot do. So on that, Rabbi Yehuda says that since Rabbi Yehuda himself holds it's not even good even if you did it. So for that, Chizkiah needed atonement for. So now, if this is true, back to that brisa, Rabbi Shimon Omer. Rabbi Shimon was the third opinion of the brisa, and he said, if you add a month because of Tumah, so then it's going to be good. Says that's the same as Tanakama. We just reread the brisa. Tanakama says you can add a month. Rabbi Yehuda says you can't add a month because of Tumah. Rabbi Shimon says you could add a month. So the third opinion and the first opinion are the exact same opinion. So what is Rabbi Shimon adding to our brisa? Hainu Tanakama, Amarava. So the difference is lechatchila. Can you ideally do it or not? According Rabbi Shimon says you can ideally lechatchila. You have a green light. Add a month to the year because of Tumah. Tanakama and Rabbi Yehuda both say ideally you shouldn't do it. Tanakama says if you did it, it's still going to be good. And Rabbi Yehuda says if you did it, it's not going to be good. So we have three opinions. If people are tameh and if you're worried about Tumah, Tanakama says you should not do it. Rabbi Yehuda says you should not do it. Rabbi Shimon says green light, go for it. Tanakama says if you happen to have done it, it remains a leap year. Rabbi Yehuda says if you happen to have done it, nothing happened, it does not remain a leap year. And Rabbi Shimon says you can do it even ideally, and therefore, of course, if you did it.
So Rabbi Shimon has to explain Chizkiah. Why did he?
Yeah, very good. That's going to be the next. Yeah, let's see. Rabbi Shimon Omer Ma'abrin. Why did Chizkiah? Why was he answering up for his own sin? What did he do wrong? He added a month. That's why Rabbi Shimon says Nisan was already sanctified. Chizkiah went back and made it other shenis.
Waited too long.
Yeah. Now Amar Mar Ein Ma'aber El Adar V'Hu Iber Nisan B'Nisan. So now he was Ma'aber. We only make other to others. V'Hu Iber Nisan B'Nisan, meaning sounds like that day 30 that became Rosh Chodesh Nisan, once he already established it, he now went back and made it other. So now we're asking on the leis lei lechizkiya hachodesh hazel lachem ze Nisan the ein acher Nisan. Sounds like the Torah tells us this month could be Nisan, and nothing else could be Nisan. Sounds like once you already established it to be Nisan, you can't go back and do that. Does he not hold of this drasha? Meaning, what was Chizkiya's mistaken rationale? I mean, he felt bad about it, okay. But did he not hold of this pasuk? I mean, it's explicit. So we're assuming that he knew this drasha. We say no. Ta b'de Shmuel. He made a mistake in the opinion of Shmuel. Damer Shmuel. Ein ma'avras hashana biyom shloshim shel other. Interesting thing. Shmuel holds you can never make on day 30. You can never make day 30 other sheni. You can't go and establish a leap year on day 30 of other. It has to, biyom shloshim shel other. Why? Hoil v'roi lekovo Nisan. Interesting concept. Since really day 30 is fitting to be Nisan. However, we always have other to be 30 days. No,
we always have a
29?
one day Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Pretty sure.
Which means that we always have a
We don't have
30-day other.
No, Adarabba. We only have a 29-day.
No, then you have a 2-day Nisan, day 30 and day 1.
We don't. Say that's
So that means we always have a 30-day other.
No, Adarabba. We only have a 29.
Then you have a 2-day Rosh Chodesh Nisan.
No, that's when you don't.
No, you have Rosh Chodesh Nisan. You have Rosh Chodesh Nisan when you have you have Rosh Chodesh 2-day Rosh Chodesh when you have day 30 and day 1.
That's right, and we never do.
Which means that other is a full 30 days.
It's 29.
The other something is
The other that we have going into Nisan is always 29.
But that first other is always 30.
Yes.
Oh, good. That's
Yeah.
for Nissan, always 29.
Right.
Regular other is always
right. So that
So-
first
so
other is
we're
day
right.
30. We're both right. Okay.
Is
So
what
that-
it is? Thank
That
you.
first other is always Hol V'Roy Likvo Nisan. It's really fitting to be Nisan, right? So since it's fitting to be Nisan, Shmuel held you can't make that day. You can't be Ma'aber the Shana on that day. Rabbi Chizkiya held the EU Savar Hol Roy Lo Amrina. He held that we don't hold to this concept since it was fitting to be Nisan. Therefore, you can't be Ma'aber the Shana. Tanya Nami Halchi Ein Ma'aber the Shana B'Yom Shloshim Shel Adar Hol Roy Likvo Nisan. Abraham supports this opinion that since maybe we'll discuss a little bit more at the beginning of tomorrow, since it was fitting to be Nisan, even though we're now adding a month and it's not going to be Nisan, we're going to have it as 30 days. But since it's fitting to be Nisan, therefore we're not allowed to be Ma'aber. We can't add a second month on day 30 of other Rishon.
You gotta start early.